Hey, welcome back or welcome to my channel, where I ramble about FNAF in an ungodly hour of the night. Today I'm going to be talking about the Tangle, but first, as promised, I'm addressing a few of the things from my retcon video that were mentioned by some people in the comments. 1. I was absolutely biased, as any theorist will be, but I allowed the retcons in that video to be mainly based on theories, instead of evidence, which was wrong of me. And while I can't promise that there won't be some bias in the future, I can promise that I will make sure to work using evidence more than opinion. 2. The Mimic. I mentioned this in a community post that a few people saw, but I knew I should probably mention it here for anyone who hadn't. I saw some people saying that I think the Mimic was a retcon, and it made me realise I'd phrased my Mimic section very poorly. I don't think that the Mimic was a retcon. I do find its story progression a little bit confusing sometimes. However, I believe this is due to the issues that Ruin and Security Breach had while being made that caused a lot of the story to be cut. But this doesn't make me dislike the Mimic in any way. 3. Another thing I saw some people say was that I hate the story, and while I can see where the idea would come from, again, due to my less than perfect phrasing, I can promise that's not the case. I've always been quite fond of the story, and while I'll happily point out that there has been quite a large amount of change throughout FNAF's beginning to now, which a lot of people do bring up as an issue, I don't agree with them. I don't think that's a reason to dislike it. Stories adapt, media evolves, and change is scary, sure, but if FNAF had been the same through every single game, we'd have gotten bored years ago. So no, I don't hate the story, and I'm excited to see where it's going. I just wanted to mention some things that had changed during the story that I either found interesting or just didn't make full sense to me. That's why I put the in my opinion part in the title and in the intro. I'm pretty sure I put it in the intro. I don't at all think that anything I say in these videos are 100% right or wrong. It's more out of a desire to share these thoughts, theories, and opinions on the off chance that I'm right, or if someone has info that I'd missed and then can apply to future theories to make sure that they're, better for you guys. And to wrap this up, I wanted to say thank you to all the people who left these comments. I appreciate hearing people's opinions regardless of if they agree with me or not, as long as it's respectful, and many of you are. So for that I'm grateful. Now, onto the subject of today's video, the Tangle, and most importantly, what is he? The Tangle first appeared in Security Breach. We find him down in the sinkhole, sleeping in the lower levels of the FNAF 6 location. If Gregory gets too close without being in Freddy, the Tangle will immediately attack, so showing some pretty extreme aggression in my opinion. During the Burn Trap boss battle, he reaches into the room through the vents, trying to grab Gregory, although it's not clear if he is the Tangle's target or if the Tangle is just attacking indiscriminately. Once we win the fight, we see the Tangle emerge from the ceiling and snatch up Burn Trap as the building collapses. We then next see him in Ruin, where he has a brief cameo where he appears in a wall and slinks away as Cassie gets too close. He also appears in one of the drawings that Gregory did at the Security Breach endings. Another thing, it's kind of hinted, kind of told to us that the earthquake that destroyed the Pizzaplex in Ruin was caused by the Tangle burrowing around, based on him A, no longer being in the basement, B, the giant tunnels on the lower levels, and C, the Mimic, while pretending to be Gregory, actively telling us that the Pizzaplex collapsed when, quote-unquote, something burrowed out. Now, moving on to the main focus of this video, figuring out what the hell the Tangle is. The way I'm going to structure this is that I'm going to go one theory at a time, so some things may be repeated. Now, starting off with number 1, Molten Freddy. So, the Tangle has Funtime Freddy's face, plus the fact that he's down in the basement with William's husk. A lot of people assume that the Tangle is just Molten Freddy after being left alone for a while and building himself back up with some scrap and the stolen things from around the Pizzaplex. But there's a few issues with this. The mask is Funtime Freddy's, not Molten Freddy's. Plus the fact that Molten Freddy is capable of speech.
Thanks for letting me join the party. I'll try not to disappoint.
Whereas the Tangle is only able to make 2 sounds, congested breathing and screaming. Which isn't exactly what I'd call a great conversationalist. Also, the wires are different. Molten Freddy's wires are thinner and silver, and the Tangle's are thicker and a dark matte grey. Although this may just be a soft retcon of his design, like with the scrap trap to Burn Trap. 2. The AR Animatronics. A second theory to the Tangle's origin is that it's the scrapped AR Animatronics whose collective remnant fused them into this giant, angry mass of metal. This theory is based off the animatronics present in the Tangle, all appearing in FNAF AR -1, but we'll get to that. The animatronics are as follows: Chica, Bonnie, Mangle, Endo02, Circus Baby, and, the one exception to the AR crew, the puppet. Now, while this theory does look good on paper, much like the Molten Freddy theory, there are a few problems, namely the puppet being there, who, despite Lefty being scheduled to join AR before it shut down, never actually appeared in FNAF AR. However, the lack of the tear streaks on the mask do throw into question if this is our puppet or just like a souvenir mask stolen from the Peterplex. Another issue is how the AR bots got there and into this state. And why would they have formed into the Tangle? Plus the wires with no clear origin, there's just a few little details that don't have full explanations. But if we take into account that the AR bots constantly degrade in the actual FNAF AR game, plus Phasma Entertainment's tendency to brush things under the rug, or in this case, throw old things into the basement, namely the Mimic, the Alpha Staff bots, and the entire FNAF 6 location, it wouldn't surprise me if they threw damaged or recalled AR bots down into the sinkhole to be dismantled later, maybe by the Mimic. Still filled with the remnant collected during FNAF AR, they then fuse into this mindless creature, fueled by instinct due to the mess of different Souls remnants. However, the Tangle's design is clearly meant to reflect Molten Freddy's design, so I present to you theory number 3, the best of both worlds. After the FNAF 6 fire, Molten Freddy is almost completely destroyed, barely hanging on with only dregs of remnant left, which could be possible due to its blueprint specifically mentioning that it has the most amount of remnant out of any of the FNAF 6 bots. Molten Freddy needs more fuel, but considering this weakened state, and the fire having burnt away the remnant of all the animatronics around it, Molten Freddy has no choice but to move up. Exploring the Peterplex, it begins to steal old artifacts from the displays, potentially absorbing leftover traces of agony and remnant stuck onto them. But it's not enough. After searching more, he finds the discarded AR animatronics, broken down but still full of the remnant collected by the FNAF AR users. He absorbs them into his mass, but there's a side effect. Agony causes animatronics to become violent, and remnant contains the souls and memories of those who made it. If you mix multiple different souls remnants and agony into a robot that was already pretty unstable, it's not a shock that it loses any sense of stability that it barely already had, becoming an animalistic mass of parts that we then see in Security Breach. This does fix a lot of the issues with the last two theories, the combination of incomplete souls making the Tangle more animalistic and taking Molten Freddy's ability to speak. Another thing is that Molten Freddy's face, changing from Molten Freddy's face to Funtime Freddy's instead, makes sense if it's Molten Freddy trying to fix himself up. This also applies to the puppet's mask being there, as well as the changing of the wires if he's been collecting scrap and things from around the Peterplex. Now, I won't pretend that there aren't some plot holes here too. We still don't have any confirmation that the AR bots ended up at the Peterplex as far as I know, as well as no confirmation that Molten Freddy actually survived the fire. However, if some amount of William survived to either hijack the Mimic 1 program or come back as Burn Trap for 5 minutes, Mimic Endo or not, that's too much purple to not be William at least a little bit. It's not a stretch to say that Molten Freddy could survive, considering we've seen that fires don't always work. But, you know, your guess is as good as mine really. If you've got any evidence or info that makes or breaks these theories, then let me know in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think. And with that, I'll wrap this up. Your reward for watching, of course. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I apologise for it being a little bit of a shorter video, but I had to get something out. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and, you know, maybe check out my shorts if you want to see me take the place of a hapless night guard going in a 1v1 against every single FNAF animatronic. I just finished up FNAF 1 and I'm moving on to FNAF 2, so if that sounds interesting, go check it out. Bye.